All right, now we get into the recycling capabilities here. Typically, this is a vac. You kind of think of it as a wet vac or a flood vac. So this allows to have the vacuum motor is actually in here. It used to be up on top. It used to be inconvenient. You had to lift it up to get in there, and had wires and all kinds of stuff. So now it's encased inside here. You have your two switches. One is the transfer pump, the 12-volt one that'll operate the 12-volt pump on there, which is under here. It actually kicked on, so we're kind of in the middle of a cycle right now, which it's better not to shut it down during a cycle. I'm going to leave that on. It's going to empty the water out of the tank here. And it's actually, right now, even though the machine's out, that 12-volt transfer pump will finish its kind of cycle. So what I recommend on a shut-off here, we normally run these for a couple hours to make sure everything runs well, is when you shut the machine down and you cool your burner off and get everything done, you can go ahead and, if you hear this running, when you shut it off, leave this switch on until the water is being transferred from the second solid separation tank back to the recovery tank. It'll shut off when it's done. Inside the vacuum hose connects up on top here. Now this will go from connect the hopper, drains the hopper, comes into here. You can also connect your 100-foot of hose to here directly and be able to do your sidewalk or Walmart cleaning, anything like that. When you want to get into this, like I said, it's a lot easier once you don't have the motor attached here. You hear it sucked off? Okay. In here we have another basket filter. So even though, if anything was to slosh around, get up and over into the vacuum chamber, we have another filter that you do need to wash and keep clean and maintain that. In the tank, there's a couple float valves that look like bobbers in there. There's a white one and a black one. And if, like, all of a sudden, like if it was shut off in the mid-cycle, and you wanted to get it, sometimes you do have to lift the float up and let it go back down to kind of reset it. So for some reason you're not getting vacuum or transfer pump. Sometimes if it's in that mid-cycle and it's still water, you can bypass it by kind of moving those floats up and down for a second. That's one of the things too we'll diagnose if you're running and transfer pump's not working or whatever. Have you start the engine, or if it's the 12-volt transfer pump, we could just reach in and grab the black one on the bottom here and kick it on. We'll know if it's run or not. It might be just the breaker here creating that 12-volt pump from not running. But there is some additional devices here to control that. What happened if you didn't have the transfer pump running and the water was filling up too much, but the vacuum kept sucking and sucking? What would happen is the white float, once it know that it's too high, it would turn the vacuum off. So when you stop water, if you stop sucking and you all of a sudden say, hey, Andres or Dan, I popped the lid open, the tank is full, but it's not, it did its job. It protected it from the water from getting into the vacuum motor. So this is a cone-shaped tank. This is a critical filter section here. The actual solid separation tank here, probably the #1 filter issue. What happens is that if sand and debris was to get through there, say you're using a vacuum surface cleaner, it's a real sandy little area from the storm cleanup or whatever, and all the sand is getting sucked in here, you're going to be filtered down to that 1,000 micron, but anything small is going to get into the bottom of the cone-shaped tank here. There's a drain valve right on the side. Like right now, we saw how it kind of shut off on its own, but there's always going to be a little bit of water. So we have this discharge hose here. So you want to open that drain up, allow the water to come through. Huh? I know, I just saw that to catch it in time. And what happens too is when you look in the tank here, there's that little section that doesn't suck it all the way out. You might want to take a garden hose, flush this out, make sure this is clean. The reason I say this is critical is this keeps filling up with sludge or sand or debris. I had that happen to a guy. He goes, Dan, I almost called you last night at 2:30 in the morning. And I go, what were you doing at 2:30 in the morning? I thought it was a Walmart or something. And he goes, no, I was doing a trash bin. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, down here in Texas, it's 110 degrees during the day lately. So they let me come in here at night, so I started doing a bunch of the commercial bin on the night shift when it was cooler, 90 degrees, whatever it was, 80. And he goes, yeah, but my transfer pump just quit pumping water. And I go, okay, so I kind of had a good idea what could be the problem. But what happened was, I'll put that up a little bit. I will grab an empty 5-gallon bucket. Oh, okay, I got it. He's FaceTiming. I go, okay, open up your door, the driver's side door. And so he cracks it open, he goes, don't tell me I forgot. You go, yep. So you open this up, and it looked like a fudge factory. It was just mud and debris, solid coming out. So he opened it up, it's like plop, plop, and coming out really, really thick. All of some water. Go shut it off. Once you got like clear water, you're done. You don't have to flush it all the way out. He had like a 5-gallon bucket, which what it did, it overfilled the port, because on this unit we have actually, it's on the back side, but there's a port that's up on the top of the cone shaped tank. So anything from there below is where all your sand is. What'll happen, and it happened to him, since he pumped all that sand through his transfer pump up the line, he blindsided his 50 micron filter that was in here. So he had to replace the filter too. So by keeping this tank clean, which is free, just open the valve, it'll extend the life of your filters. A lot of times you might find out that you went a little too far. Your pressure gauge will read your pressure on the filters. So if all of a sudden you're at 15 to 20, you open up the valve and you got sludge and debris that's half full in the tank, and you blindsided your string filter, you just had to replace the filter. You have the kit. What's nice, I'm giving you 3 of these large 50 micron filters, 2 20 micron, and 2 bag filters that are in the tank, all for $159. So you're getting all 7 filters. Very inexpensive. So if you make the mistake, it's not catastrophic. You have the backup on there to keep you running. So it actually will pump through the black tank, through the transfer pump, up here into your filter chamber. This is your first filter of a replacement type filter. It's your 50 micron. It'll pump through this. This is the 20 micron filter in here. From the 20 micron, it comes out on the dish shirt. What's kind of nice is you do have a garden hose adapter here, Schirmer type fitting. You can unscrew this and connect your garden hose. So if you're doing just a sidewalk, driveway, or an area, and you're okay with just pumping the wastewater at 20 micron or into a wash bay at a municipality or waste company, you could bypass this from even going back to your tank. This is actually going back to your recovery tank. Through there. So bottom line, it's running through, but like I said, you do have the ability to bypass it if you need to. This is really why it's on video, so you can go over it a few times, but what happens is, so you're going from right here, so it's running on through, watch your pipe up there. You got this is a half-turn lid. When you pick it up, there's your other, this is a 5 micron bag filter. So on our platinum trailer, this is where it would end on the filtration, okay? Or the gold trailer. When we add the, what we call the plus package, that's where the water's going to run through here. Right now, this is actually running into, no, that's the system on your unit right now. This secondary system here is the one I showed you the video on with the oil, water separation, and fuel. This is sucking off the waste tank at the separate circuit. But with the benefit of our newly redone, and this gets edited out of the video when I post it, your wastewater is already down to 5 micron. Super, it's clean, it's amazing. It now gets picked up through the 110 volt, 115 volt transfer pump, centrifugal pump here. It goes up into your filter chamber here. Goes into a 5 micron. This is the same 5 micron that's the bag filter, but it's very high capacity. 5 micron filter. Oil water separator through the polymer device. This is that same polymer that I showed you the demo with the cup. And then it goes into a carbon style filter, which actually takes out like chloride and odor control and etc. When it comes out of here, you have an option to use this transfer pump to drain your water out here, or if it's the right application, you can pump it back to your supply tank. So now you got oil water separation, carbon filter, and the 5 micron. So your wastewater, actually if I ran it through, this water would clear up that's in the supply tank better right now. So you have that option. Normally it's meant for discharge most of the time. So if you have this, if you go into a wash bay, I would have to say we're going to have case studies and tests on and in the process of doing that. This should normally be approved from, not guaranteed, but sanitary sewer discharge, irrigation, like plant water plants. Golf courses in Florida use gray water all the time as irrigation. You never want to drink off a spigot. Sprinkler head at a golf course, it's pretty nasty water. So there's certain grade, as long as you get in the phosphates and the hydrocarbons and some heavy metals and you know, it really depends on the area. There's some areas like I knew that have poison wells because somebody contaminated 1 out of 3 wells in like Boynton Beach, Florida, or whatever. That area may be very aggressive about restricting your discharge. Other areas could be, oh man, that stuff's great. Yeah, sure, I can see you pumping that as irrigation. You know, we had a guy with approval of storm drain or in the yard field. It was a little more rural. So it varies, and it really does mean city to city, trust me. In some places you'll hear this, they'll say something like, you know, if you got a Deer Park bottled water truck and all of a sudden it rolls over and that bottled water is running into our storm drain, you'll be fine for letting the bottled water go down the storm drain because it's not rainwater. They can be cuckoo like that. Yeah. So you have a variation of that. I actually had that in one of the really tough cities in California. Gave them a lot of our case studies and information on that. And the guy was going, can't believe I'm kind of saying this, but I think we can work with your guy up here because we've never expected this degree of filtration, you know? Right. They always think the worst. And it is true because most of the time it is, you know? So typically, recovery tank, you can use this to drain it to the higher degree. If you don't need to, we have the tank drain on the side. It's a manual drain where you can just open it up and you're still down to the 5 micron. And you do have oil absorber in the hopper and the same with the phosphate. So you do have a degree of that. It just isn't as what we almost call polished, you know, really high-end filtration. So this secondary system is going to be that you saw the video, just play it for anybody. They'll love this. So the wastewater coming out of here going into a waste facility or municipalities area, the benefit is the speed and the use of the water. When they do it by hand, take 5 or 8 minutes, they can go through 40 or 60 gallons of water on every cart. You're going to reduce that water consumption down to about anywhere from 1 gallon to 5 gallons. So you can be up to 10 times less water going into their wash bay, plus you're filtering it, it's going to be cleaner. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of win-win. One of those statements, oil, water, hydrocarbon, blah, blah, is going to really open that door for you better. So this system there, you have bleeders here, so when you were to replace anything here, or if you ran out and got a little air in there, you can run the pump, which is the switch right here, operate the pump. Now it's running off the generator, so it has to be running to do that. The other thing that you can do conveniently too, if you can get to your bay or your shop where you do have electrical power, keep an extension cord on here. Instead of running the pressure washer, to plug in the transfer pump right to an outlet and let it run its cycle. You don't have to run the engine to run the generator. You're going to save fuel runtime on the pressure washer. wear and tear, you don't have to worry about it. So my suggestion is on this, when you're discharging, if you have a power supply or in your shop or storm, a sanitary sewer, wherever, use that also because it'll allow it to just run and cycle out. We have a float valve in the tank that's similar to these. So if it was running empty, it'll automatically turn off the pump. You're not going to burn your pump up by running it dry. So you could just leave that on. Just remember to go back and shut everything off or unplug it if needed. So more redundant safety devices to extend the life of your pump and everything. But like I said, if it does need, sometimes you got to just have it running and then bleed it a little bit. Make sure it looks solid like it does right now and no air in there. This here, with that bypass, remember I told you you could shut the gun off. Cool water will bypass back to tank. So this is the line for your bypass line. This is your recycled water line. And this actually fills your tank. There's actually a float valve in here called a Hudson valve. So if you were to turn the water on, like you connect the garden hose to your water supply, go get breakfast, whatever, or have coffee, it'll automatically shut off to this water level. It won't overflow. Now, sometimes really didn't want to put an extra system in there. If you're running the recycled water back to the tank and filtering, and you had a water supply hooked up to it, potentially this water could actually overflow the tank. So if you have both on, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, like I said, if I ran this both tanks through, you see even this water that's our tap water turn clear. It's really amazing on how well filtered it is. You also have a half turn here on the lid. Make sure it's on there because every now and then this will pop off and you'll find it on the side of the tank or something. Let me see here. Let me do it either way. We'll leave it bypass right now. All right. Most of the boring stuff's over. Let me just show you in the topper again, which we could have started with a filter there. We talked about this earlier, so like I said, when you got a lot of debris, wonderful. A lot of debris in the tank, everything's going to go up in here. Your basket will be cleaned and managed. You have the chamber in the back. If you look kind of, this video is going to be bouncing around at the end there. There's a little chamber in the corner, back corner there. All the sediments here, that's where the vacuum picks up, is right back in the corner. You got your filters. You clean off anything from the top here before you pop the basket. You don't want any debris falling through. And then that pillow needs to be changed when it gets hard. So now we can fire this baby up soon here and show you how it works.